Hey, have you ever been reading something and come across the words lock or crore and just paused for a second, wondering what they mean? Well, these are terms for large numbers that are used every single day by over 1 billion people. Today, we're going to crack that code, and you'll see it's actually a really fascinating and surprisingly simple system. So our journey kicks off in a bustling market in Chintamani, a town in the Indian state of Karnataka. And here we meet a rice farmer named Ishwarappa. He's just going about his day when he overhears something that sparks a huge question and, believe it or not, sends all of us on this path of discovery. This is what he hears. Someone says, earlier our country had about a lakh varieties of rice. A lakh. That's the word. That's the number that sets this whole thing in motion. But what does it even mean? How big is it really? Later, when Ishwarappa gets home, he tells his kids, Roxy and Estu, about this. And for them, a lakh varieties of rice. I mean, it sounds almost magical, right? It's a number that's so big, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around. And that brings us right to our big question for today. How big is 1 lakh? Let's join Roxy and Estu and try to get a real feel for what this number actually represents. So to figure this out, we're going to borrow a really clever thought experiment the kids came up with. And it uses the very thing that started this whole conversation in the first place, rice. S2 asks this brilliant question. Let's say you tried a new variety of rice every single day for an entire lifetime of 100 years. Could you taste all 1 lakh varieties? What do you think? What's your gut feeling on that? Well, let's actually do the math. 100 years. If we just forget about leap years for a second, that gives you 36,500 days. That's how many chances you'd get to try a new rice dish. And wow, when you see it on a chart like this, it really hits home. That little bar on the left, that's every single day of a 100-year life. And the bar on the right, that's 1 lakh. That giant gap really tells the whole story, doesn't it? So the answer to Estu's question is a huge no, not even close. In an entire century of non-stop dedicated rice tasting, you'd only manage to get through about 1/3 of those 1 lakh varieties. That really puts the sheer scale of that number into perspective. So, a lakh is a massive, massive number, right? Well, maybe. This is where things get really interesting, because it all depends on your perspective. Yeah, context completely changes the game. Think about it. A cricket stadium in Amityville can hold over 1 lakh people. Suddenly, that number feels, well, manageable. A human head has about 1 lakh hairs, and a female fish can lay 1 lakh eggs all at once. So is 1 lakh big or small? The answer is yes. It's all relative. Okay, so now that we have a better feel for the size of 1 lakh, let's actually crack the code. How does it stack up against the international system of thousands, millions, and billions that many of us use? Okay, take a close look here because this is the whole secret. On the left, 1 lakh in the Indian system. On the right, 100,000 in the international system. Now, count the zeros. Go ahead. They're exactly the same. The value is identical. The only difference is where that little comma goes. That's it. That's the key. So here's the rule. While the international system groups digits in 3s, the Indian system starts with a group of 3 from the right, and then it groups everything else in 2s. A 3, then 2, then 2 pattern. And this isn't just some old tradition. It's totally integrated into finance, media, and just everyday talk, because it makes these huge numbers way easier to say out loud. This table right here is basically your cheat sheet. It lays it all out perfectly. As we just saw, 1 lakh is 100,000. Now look at that next line, because it's a big one. 10 lakhs is the same as 1 million. And once you get that, it all just scales up. 1 crow is 100 lakhs, which is 10 million, and 10 crows is 100 million. See, they're the exact same numbers, just with different names and different comma placements. And you can kind of see the light bulb going off, just like for our guides, S2 and Roxy. We're all putting the pieces together. It's not some different kind of math, it's just a different language for the numbers. All right, so now that we've got a handle on the lakh, let's build on that and look at the next big unit we saw on that chart, the crore. And the definition is actually pretty simple. A crore is equal to 10 million. That's a 1 followed by 7 zeros. Or, and this is a great way to think about it, it's just 100 lakhs. It's the next major building block in this whole system. And here's a pretty cool piece of history for you. These terms aren't new, not at all.
They have ancient roots. Lakh actually comes from the Sanskrit word laksha, and crore comes from koti. So this way of counting has literally been part of the culture on the Indian subcontinent for centuries.
Okay, we have officially decoded the math. So for our last section, let's take a look at how these numbers pop up in the real world, especially when you're reading the news. So, S2 finds this headline in the paper. 1 lakh people visited the book fair last week. This is a perfect real-world example. We see these big round numbers in headlines all the time, right? Whether it's lakhs, crores, or millions.
And S2 makes this really sharp, funny comment. He jokes, if I hadn't gone, would they have written 99,999 people visited? And of course not, right? But his joke points to a much deeper truth about how we talk about large numbers. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. The next time you see a big number in a headline, 1 lakh, 1 million, 10 crore, just ask yourself, is that an exact to-the-person count, or is it a convenient estimate, designed to give you a quick sense of the scale? It's a great question to keep in the back of your mind as you navigate a world that is just full of big numbers.